really a warm welcome to everybody here today. Today's webinar is on our student stories, and we're going to have an opportunity for questions and answers at the end. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction before I hand you over to our students. So as I said, I'm going to do an introduction. I'm going to give a little bit of information on our webinar series, on Trinity's reaction to COVID and how that might affect the start of the year, opportunities to talk to students outside of this webinar if you want to do kind of one-to-one chats with students. So I'm going to introduce you to each of our students here. So we have Lillian, if you can just wave and say hello. Then we have Shane, Courtney, Matthew, Hannah,
hi,
Guillermo, and Jesse.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks, guys. So I'm going to get them to turn off their videos for a minute until I do the introduction, and then they're all going to come on back on one by one when they are doing their section. Great. So if you have any questions to go along, so I see that someone has put their hand up. If you have a question, the best thing to do is if you have a look at the toolbar on your webinar screen, you should be able to see one there. There's a Q&A button. If you have any questions, please submit them there. Our students will be on in the background, and my colleague Gubnet will also be there in the background answering questions. So we can answer some questions as we go along, and then we can do a live Q&A at the end of the session as well. And we've had some of your questions in already, so we'll take those into account when we're answering some of the questions, and we'll have them as part of the presentations. So I know some of you, if you were making some last minute decisions on the CAO, you might be thinking about what's going to happen at the start of next year and how Corona might impact what's happening with the school year. So you may have seen already that our school year is going to start on the 28th of September this year. And if you want an idea of kind of things that are going to happen in terms of teaching, style of teaching, things like that, if you go on tcd.ie/about/corona, then you should be able to see all the information there. It's kind of an evolving situation as things go on, so the information is updated there, and that's the most central place to get it. So if you have any questions about that, please do log on there, and you'll see all our updates there. So for those of you who are still debating where to go to college, what course you might want to do, I suppose a few things that we kind of recommend taking into account. I would say looking at college location and logistics, that'll be even more important this year when you're thinking of where you might go. Potentially you might be able to live at home if you're from somewhere else in Ireland and commute up certain days of the week. So these are all things that would be good to take into account. Obviously take into account the course choices that we have available, any requirements you might need for those, and the course structure. So some of you mightn't be entirely sure what you want to do. For those people, we'd recommend doing a kind of broader start to a course. So maybe one that has a couple of foundation years where you specialize afterwards, or lets you try a few different subjects and specialize. Like in BESS, like in engineering, like in science, they're a little bit broader, and then you specialize afterwards. Something that we think is really important, and a lot of our students are going to talk about, is all the extracurricular activities that are available, and that really makes your college experience fantastic. Now, I know some people might be concerned that with COVID, and these activities aren't going to happen. We can assure you that they are. And the CSC, so our Central Clubs and Societies Committee, are doing online registrations for activities. They're looking at virtual versions of events, and then smaller events that can take place in person. Similarly for sports, they are going to open back up again in terms of training and things like that. And they also have some online sports activities that you can do too. So there's definitely options, both online and in person, to get involved in. Then we also recommend looking at study abroad options and what you can do across the different colleges, as well as the student supports, and then the careers and alumni network and what you might want to do after college. So if you're not sure about any of those, we've done webinars on a lot of different areas there. So we've done one on student life and what it might look like in first year, and we've done one on international opportunities, and we have done one on kind of careers as well. And so if you want any more information on those, if you have a look on our webinar series, so if you go to tcd.ie/CAO, the whole series is there, including student life next year, and you've got the people from the clubs and societies, from sport, from our orientation committee. All of those people are there to tell you a little bit more information about that. We've got people from innovation and careers, and we've got people from Erasmus. So if you want any information on any of those areas, all the videos are up online, so you can have a look at them there. If you want to talk to our students outside of this webinar forum, so you might have questions that are a bit more personal to you, or you might just want to have a longer conversation with someone, it's great that you want to do that. And again, if you just go to tcd.ie/CAO, We have a number of different student ambassadors, some of them who are on the webinar today, and who you'll be able to talk to individually afterwards. So we have a range of different undergrad and postgrad students there, and that you can talk to in your own time. So we really recommend doing that because it really does help with your choices. If you want any more information at all, as I said, we recommend our CAO website. We'd also recommend the prospectus, which is available online. And we also have students from all the different counties across Ireland talking about their student experience. So lots of opportunities to get more information there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to the students who will have lots of exciting things to say about their student journey. So we have 7 students with us, and they're all going to tell you a little bit. They're from all different backgrounds, they're from all different places, and they're all studying different courses. And so they'll give you a nice insight into all the different opportunities that you have available in Trinity. So Lillian, I'll just get you to turn on your video and your mic, and I will turn off mine. And I'd like to welcome Lillian.
Hi guys, I'm Lillian. So I'm 18 years old. I'm from Clondalkin and I'm in my first year of physiotherapy and heading into my second year. So prior to that, I did the TAP Foundation course. So that is just a 1 year long course where I did science for the whole year. So it was set up to like help people who like are in like low progression areas or socioeconomic backgrounds that like stop them from going to college and that. And I did this whole year, and like I think that it was the best decision I did for applying to it, because like after my leaving cert, I thought that I was like so ready to go into college and go straight back out. But I realized heading on into the foundation course that I wasn't ready for it at all, that I knew that I needed to like change myself on a personal level. And I was also 17 years old at the time, so I was pretty young as well. And throughout the course, like I knew that like I was an introvert, but I didn't know I was that introverted. And the course really helped me on a personal level and gain my confidence. So we did like loads of presentations throughout the year, because like whatever course you're going to do, you're going to have to do some sort of presentation. And I think as going into my degree in physiotherapy, it helped me a lot. And I chose physiotherapy because I wanted to do something within the medical field, and I thought it was like a really great course to like see what it's like. And it was intense. Like I didn't realize how intense it was going to be, but I think it's like trying to make study plans and all of that really help, because I think when you're in college you learn a lot about time management and how to manage your time. So like I do, for my extracurriculars, I'm a TAP ambassador. So secondary and primary school kids come into the college so they can get a feel of what Trinity's like. And I think like just volunteering is just a way to give back. And I do community mentoring, and it's just to help secondary school kids go in and talk to them about their career paths and about their SMART goals that I want to achieve. So my college highlights were getting into my degree, because it was after the foundation course, it was a relief to know that like, oh yes, I actually got into this degree. There was Freshers Week. Like Freshers Week was amazing. Like got to do so much, like the societies. So I joined so many societies. There's a lot to choose from, but I think it's best to like find what you're interested in, because I joined a lot and I didn't go to half of them, and I ended up spending like 50 euros. And I didn't go to a lot, but like go to like ones you know you're going to be interested in. And I made so many friends during it. Like there's so many people that you can make new friends with. And I think that going into college, you're really scared, like, will I make any friends? Will this person like me? But I think if you like get involved and be open-minded and just be positive, be yourself, and you'll be fine. There's like loads of parties as well, like the perks of being in college, and also having your own freedom. So like basically when you head into college, you head into adult life. So you need to like do things for yourself. You need to be responsible for your own things. So like going to lectures, nobody's going to tell you to go to lectures. It's your responsibility to do that for yourself. And like just getting throughout the whole year, just like 1 year just went by so fast, and I'm so happy. Like it was a great year. Like it is challenging as well, but there are so many supports. Like even because I did TAP, there was a load of supports. So I had a load of tap tutors. You have your tutors that you're going to be paired up with when you go into your first year, and it's just like they're like people who can just give you advice and somebody you can talk to if you're feeling overwhelmed and that. Another thing is like money saving tactics. I know going in first year I spent like over like 20 euros a week on food when I knew that I had home with food in the fridge that I could make. So like I got meal prep lunch boxes and started making my lunch, and I saved a lot of money. Also, even if you're going out, it's okay to say no. Like don't let peer pressure get to you. Like you can also save money in that way. And most importantly, it's like important to look after yourself, because going into your course, like it is going to be overwhelming and stressful, but it's important to like take care of yourself and find some ways where you can like chill and get yourself together as well. But overall, it was a great experience. Even during this foundation course year, I got to do so many opportunities. Like I did, so you get paired up with, you do a mentorship with Grant Thornton, and at the end of the year, you get an opportunity to do an interview, to do an internship in Grant Thornton, and I got that internship, and it was a great opportunity to figure out like what it's like to be in a professional environment, and I can't wait to see what the next year holds. And I know it's going to get tougher, but I guess it's just like you got to just find ways to like take care of yourself. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lillian. That was great to hear a little bit about your student journey, especially in your first year, which is a really exciting year to start with. So I'm going to now hand over to Shane, who's actually just finished his final year in what was previously called TSM, so two subject moderatorship, which is now called Joint Honours. And I am going to hand you over to him, and I will just get your slide in a second. It's being a bit pernickety, Shane, but I'll let you fire ahead, and it should change in a second. Thanks, Shane.
Yeah, thanks, Dervla. So hi guys. So yeah, my name's Shane. I'm from Dundalk originally, but I've been in Trinity now for the guts of 6 years. So I was the first in my family to go to college, so going to Trinity in the first place was kind of a big deal. But I wouldn't let that kind of scare you off. Once you're there, everybody belongs there, sort of thing. It's full of fantastic people. You meet people from all over the world and beyond. So it's a really great place to even just don't worry about not knowing people when you go there, kind of thing. So yeah, my course is German and Irish. I kind of took the scenic route for my degree as well. So I did my first and second year, took a year off books. So that's where I went to study abroad, but it didn't count towards my degree. So it was a year I did some politics, some history, some subjects that weren't necessarily in my degree. And then I came back, did another year, ran for election, and then I won the election, and then I took another year out to serve as president of the Students' Union. So I was working at the top table of the university, representing all, like we organised those events and stuff, of course, from Trinity Ball to we had a Rick Astley gig on campus one night, but also other things like we worked on getting scholarships for refugees, cheaper student accommodation, and things like that. So my involvement with the Students' Union started when I was in first year. I was a class rep, and that was great. It's loads of fun. I met some of my really close friends through that. And I was also involved with the Common Gaelic when I was in first year as well. And most of the Common Gaelic don't study Irish, so if you only have a couple of focal, you're more than welcome to go and learn some Irish. Or if you're fully fluent, you can go and get really, really involved in it. I was also in Halls in my first and second year, and I loved the place. So in first year I ran for president of Halls, and I won that election too. So in second year I lived there while working as president, and I think Guillermo is on the JCR committee as well. He'll probably talk about it a bit later on. But it's fantastic. So if there's anyone not from Dublin who's looking at Halls, I'd highly recommend it. It's a real home from home, and even now I like to go back to the place. I still know some people who work there, and going back to the place is really nice to bring back the memories. Yeah, and the Germanic Society is another society I was involved in. So there's loads of societies in Trinity. I think there's 130 odd maybe. one for basically everyone and every interest you can think of. So that's really cool. And there's loads of opportunities to go away with societies, or every society has a ball every year. So there's all those times. But it's also just a great way to meet people. I think, as I said there, give everything a chance. Like, don't be afraid to kind of throw yourself in at the deep end, because there's always somebody there to rescue you and make sure you get on okay in Trinity. I think that's a very important thing. Just quite a holistic approach to student life, that if anyone's ever struggling with something, there is support services there to help them. And whether it's the students' union, or if it's college counselling services, or like, there's a whole range of supports there. So in first year, everyone will get a buddy, an SOS mentor, who will come and help them find their way around in the first couple of weeks. But they're there throughout the year to make sure that you have the support you need to get by. But I think it's a really welcoming place, and everyone's always very open to helping people with things. But it's also always a chance to branch out. So if, say, you come and you study something that, like, I studied 2 languages, so there's not much politics involved with that, but you can easily get involved with politics. There's a lot of breadth to kind of widen the skill set you have, and the skill set you enter with, and the skill set you leave with, and make connections along the way. So there's lots of career services there to help you if you need to find internship or something like that. But I think as well, the transferable skills you leave Trinity with, that you learn from both classroom activities, but also from the likes of societies and committees and different things like that, they stand to just as much as your final degree when you're going out into the world afterwards. So the student life aspect is almost as much of a learning experience as the classroom and degree aspect of things. But yeah, I think that's what's a quick bit about me. I graduated I haven't graduated yet. I got my results there a few weeks ago, so I will be graduating, thank God, in September. But it's definitely, I'll miss Trinity if I don't end up back there next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shane, for giving a good insight into your student experience. Shane is actually joining us from Germany, so he's working on some kind of summer camps over there. So thank you very much for taking the time to reach out. Perfect. So next we will have Courtney coming on next. So I am just going to make sure that I am muted, and I will.
Hey. Hi everyone, I'm Courtney McGrath and I'm 21 years old and I'm from Cavan. I'm also profoundly deaf and I came into college through the DARE scheme. And right now during the summer I'm currently interning for the disability service, so if you have any questions at the end of this you can ask me anything about the disability service if you have any questions. So the course that I'm studying is BESS, so that's I'm going into my final year. In first year I would have done business, economics, politics and sociology, but I'm specialising in business and sociology. BESS actually wasn't my first choice, deaf studies was, and I will continue to talk about that in the top tips. But basically I had no idea that I would get BESS, and I'm so happy that I did. It actually all kind of worked out for me because I was able to do deaf studies on the side and continue studying subjects that I really enjoy, so like business and sociology. I didn't expect that I would enjoy them so much, so it was nice to have the opportunity to study a few subjects and then specialise. So I'm going into my final year doing business and sociology and I really enjoy it. So the extracurricular stuff that I do, and I'll get into it, I think I mentioned it again, the college highlights, but I do sign language. I'm also involved in disability activism, and also last year I had a part-time job working in the library. So if you see normal people, I actually did what Connell did, so the same area and all. So it's quite a nice job to have, and I would recommend anybody to apply for it because it's quite flexible around academic work. But also I would recommend, as last year I actually was involved in a lot of stuff, so I'd recommend to have a good balance and prioritize your time. So my college highlights: so make new friends. So I came into college, nobody from my school actually went to Trinity, so I went to Trinity Halls as well, and I got to make friends that had similar interests to me. So, and also I'd recommend, you know, like there is a bit of a pressure, you know, in first year, you know, you have to make friends, you know, straight away, but like your friend group will change, and like you'll get to know a lot more people once you join like societies and even the, you know, the students union, because these have like similar interests. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So I also have down here that I was the chairperson of the Sign Language Society. So I was the chairperson last year, and I would say that was definitely one of my college highlights, because I really, like in first year, I knew I always wanted to get involved in the Sign Language Society, but I'd never think that I would be the chairperson. So I'm glad that, you know, I really, you know, gave it my best shot, and I think that it was a very successful year, and I learned a lot of skills, especially just, you know, managing a team, and then obviously learning sign language. I also was the part-time officer for students with disabilities in the Students' Union. So this, I also did this last year. So that was absolutely great. Like I'm really passionate about disability activism and making sure that, you know, other students with disabilities, you know, get the best out of their college experience. So I would have ran Disability Awareness Week, which was like a lot of collaboration with societies to have accessible events, which was a great week overall. Also, I have down here that my grades improved, so this was a real highlight for me. So in first year, my grades actually were quite bad because I didn't have a note taker, and because I'm profoundly deaf, I actually couldn't hear in lectures that well at all. So my grades really suffered from that. So once I went to the disability service and I talked to them and said I would benefit more from a note taker, we got that all sorted, and my grades have significantly improved, and I'm so happy that they did, because they were quite poor. So that's also a bit of positive information that like your grades can improve, or just if you need different accommodations, like the disability service will provide that. And also, okay, I feel like I have a lot of highlights. So the ability co-op, so that is something that myself and other students with disabilities are working at during the summer. You might see a few things. I'll link the social medias for Ability Co-op down below, but basically it is a cooperative movement by students with disabilities towards radical inclusion. So that is a, you know, we're giving students with disabilities platform to share their stories and get involved in media campaigns. So that's quite exciting, and we're only a month in, so there'll hopefully be more, you know, stuff to do with that. Also, I have a bit of say a bit of a social life, but like you know, Trinity Ball is great. Like I've been to two, then we obviously missed the one last year with COVID and all, but it's really fun. And then other nights out with friends, like it's really great. Like even the like Trinity nights out with ends, like they're really well organized, and they're great crack. So my top tips would be to definitely choose your course based on your interests, and make sure that like you've familiarized yourself with the grade requirements, because that's how I didn't get deaf studies. But you know, it can all like work out. Like I'd just be aware like what you put down, and then also if you are a student with a disability, don't be afraid to ask for help, because the disability service are here for you and want to make sure that you get the most out of your college experience. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Courtney, for giving us a bit of an insight into your student experience. So as you can see, even from the few people that have spoken already, everyone has kind of different paths that they come through college, and they kind of access different supports, and they join different clubs and societies. So everyone, even if you're doing the same course, you can have lots of different experiences within that. So thanks a mil, Courtney. I'm going to hand over to Matthew now in a second. So Matthew, are you there? Yes, perfect, you are. Thanks, Matthew. So Matthew was actually one of our Northern Irish, he was our Northern Irish coordinator last year, so he would talk to a lot of the schools in Northern Ireland about Trinity. So he has lots of information and insight into that if we have any Northern Irish students who are listening. So I'm just going to turn off my video and hand you straight over to him.
Yeah, hi everyone. Like Dervla said, I'm from up north in Derry. So my motivation to come to Trinity would have been, to get away from home, just because most people straight out of school would have studied in Belfast, but I was keen to meet a lot of new people. And I'm sure some of you on this chat, maybe traveling from further afield or maybe just down the road. But that's the one thing I'd really like to sell, is just because Trinity is such a small community, everyone fits in quite quickly. Some people take longer, but because it's a small community, it's really easy to get involved from day one. Like Shane as well. I had a bit of a roundabout way with college. I'm going into final year in September. But I came to Trinity in 2015, so I came to study general science, mainly because I wasn't entirely sure what exactly I wanted to study. I knew I wanted it to be in science, and the courses are still similar enough to that now. So I studied a bunch of biology and chemistry and maths in my first 2 years before landing on chemistry. And a big motivation as well for me coming here was just there's quite a big focus on lab work. So from day one, you're working with the professors. It doesn't so much feel like school where you're sitting in the class and just listening to the teacher talk to you for most of the day. It is fairly interactive. And so much so that in my second year, I undertook a research internship. And through most courses, there's loads of opportunities like that. I'm sure the others will attest to that, to get involved in some sort of research or teaching. And like Dervla was saying, your extracurriculars is really what makes your experience at college. And that's what I really liked about Trinity. So I joined a Trinity GAA to play football. And that was great. It was great to play in the Segerson Cup and just have a life outside of college, because as great as the lectures are, obviously, it's what you spend your time outside that you'll really remember. And as well, I suppose what's worth mentioning, before I came to college, I thought that I might want to do music, and I couldn't really decide. But I've kept on that passion throughout college. So I was a member of Trinity Musical Theatre. Last year we put on a performance of Chicago. And they're big productions too. I think we put the show on for 4 nights, and there's 400 people at each show. So it's really good to have that experience. On top of that, I've also done a bit of teaching through the School of Chemistry in secondary schools all across Dublin and actually Leinster. So now I'm thinking when I finish college, I might go into some form of education, which is something I wouldn't have thought of before coming to college. I know a lot of you are probably panicking and opening your CAO and reordering things throughout today. The one thing I would say is it's good to go with your gut. What you like now, you may see something totally different in it once you study at university, in a very good way. What else? But yeah, mainly just loads of different opportunities to get involved. I took 2 years off over the previous 2 years. Like Dervla was saying, I was coordinator of Northern Ireland engagement for Trinity. So I got to work with some of the senior members of college in admissions. And that's something that I wouldn't have had experience in before. So that was really great to be involved in. But I think that's pretty much it. My top tips would be, naturally people are quite apprehensive coming to college every year, but I know this year will be slightly heightened because of COVID. But everyone is on the same boat, although some people might not talk about it. A lot of people do come to college not knowing people or not sure what to get involved in. But my advice would be just to get involved from day one, try loads of different things, and you will find something. And whether they're academic struggles or social struggles, there's always someone to talk to in Trinity. Like Courtney was saying, I use the disability service as well, and they're very, very helpful. And I'm not sure if you get that in other universities, but in Trinity, my experience has been very positive. And that's it. So that's all I would have to say. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Matthew, for that. That was great. So it's really nice again to hear just all the different experience and all the different pathways that people go through. And what Matthew mentioned there about getting involved from day one, just like I mentioned earlier, we will still have an orientation and we will still have an opportunity to join clubs and societies, and they are going to have a mix of events in person and online. So there's still loads of opportunities to get involved, and we really encourage everybody to do that right from the get-go, which is kind of what a lot of the students are saying as well. I know when I was a student, I did engineering. I did my degree and master's in engineering quite some time ago in Trinity, and they really were, all the extracurricular activities I did really did make my college experience so memorable. So I'm going to hand you now over to Hannah. She is doing a PhD in history at the moment, and she did her undergraduate degree in history as well. So Hannah, I'll just get you to turn on your video. Perfect. And I will hand straight over to...
Perfect. Thank you, Dervla. So as Dervla said, my name is Hannah. I'm from Waterford, and I did my undergraduate in Trinity in history. I always knew that I wanted to do history, and kind of in the run up to the CAO, people were telling me that Trinity was kind of the best place in Ireland to do history. And so I made the choice, and here I am. I'm now doing a PhD, still in Trinity, so I think I made the right choice there. The Trinity History Department is a really diverse department. You know, they have stuff that you'd expect. They have like American history, modern Irish history, medieval history, but then they have modules on like Mediterranean history. There's some really specific modules, like modern Dublin was one that I did. And it means that you get to try a bit of everything and figure out what specific kind of history you're interested in. Like for me, I had no idea before college that I was interested in medieval history, because you don't get an opportunity to do that in school. But because Trinity gave me the chance to try out medieval modules, I'm now doing a PhD in medieval history. So if you're interested in history, the department is really, it's a good place to be, because you get to kind of do bits of history that you've never had the opportunity to do before, and you get to see what you want to specialize in and what kind of history is kind of where your interests lie. As everyone else has been saying, the extracurricular side of Trinity is kind of really its strong point. It's the best way to make friends. I know that in first year, it's very scary to come into a new college. I was the only person from my school who came up, and it was scary coming in first year, but the amount of extracurricular activities, societies, and sports clubs that there are really makes it so much easier to make friends. From first year, I was involved in Trinity's branch of the Vincent de Paul Society and the Voluntary Tuition Program, which are two voluntary charity societies that we have. Vincent de Paul basically does the same work as a society Vincent de Paul does outside of college. You know, you work with kids, you work with the elderly, you work with other vulnerable members of society, and it means that you can meet new friends, meet people who are interested in helping other people, and you get to help people at the same time. So it's a really nice one to be involved in. And they organize lots of fun social events every year as well, like a ball, various other fun outings to make friends. And the Voluntary Tuition Program is a program where students volunteer to help primary school and secondary school kids in local DESH schools. So schools that have a low progression rate to college, we volunteer to help them with their homework, help them with junior and leaving cert subjects, in the hope that then they will be less intimidated by college. And it's really nice to be able to help people out and encourage people to come to college, which is why I'm here today as well, to encourage people to consider Trinity and see that it's not so scary coming into first year. There's lots of opportunities to make friends. As everyone else has been saying, one of the big highlights for me was living in halls in first year. I know I keep emphasizing the need to make friends, but halls was definitely where I made most of my friends in first year. Like Shane was saying, the JCR, the Junior Common Room, they organize a bunch of events in first year for halls residents, and it allows you to kind of make friends in a setting where everybody else has to make friends as well. Everybody else is in the same boat. You're all in first year, you're all trying to make friends at once, and so it definitely makes things a lot easier coming into first year. I also really enjoyed my first Trinity Ball. Trinity Ball is a great experience every year. It's a nice way to kind of relax at the end of the year before exams, and it's always an interesting experience to see college turned into kind of a festival venue for the night. My biggest tip for coming to college is to take all of the opportunities that they give you. So you need to join societies to make friends. You need to take advantage of all the academic help that's there. So Trinity is a research university. There's big emphasis on research. So it means that in your department, you'll have access to all these experts in your field. And you shouldn't be afraid to like go to them, to ask them for help, to ask them for advice, that kind of thing, regarding your academic studies. And then, of course, the student supports. The nicest thing about Trinity, in my opinion, is that you don't ever feel alone when you have a problem. And there's loads of student supports, and I know that everybody else has been saying this as well. But there is the S2S program, like Shane was saying, where you get buddied up with a second year student who kind of looks after you and other people in your program for the year, and they kind of tell you what it's like to be in your course, and they help you with any kind of queries about student life that you might have. And then there's the tutor program as well, where you get assigned a member of academic staff who kind of looks after you throughout your college career. They help you with any kind of academic problems that you might have. So say you need an extension on an essay, or you can't sit an exam because you're sick or something, they're the people to go to. And my tutor has been incredibly helpful in my, like, throughout my time in Trinity. He's always there if I need a chat or if I need help with a particular issue. So I say definitely don't be shy of all the kind of services that Trinity has to offer. That's about all I have to say.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hannah. And it was good that Hannah mentioned our tutor. So we have a tutor system. That means that every first year student who starts in college gets assigned like an academic member of staff. So they have a professor that they can go to if they have any issues. So it's really nice to know they're there. I know my time in college, I think I went to my tutor twice, but it was still nice to know they were there if I did want to talk to them. And just one thing I wanted to add, because everyone is talking about how brilliant Halls is. I lived at home in first year, and I just want to say that it's still really easy to make friends, even if you're living at home. So I'm from Bray, so I'm just on the Dart line to college. So I was still able to make a lot of friends through my class and through extracurricular activities. So even if you do choose to live at home, there's still loads of opportunities to get involved in everything. So don't worry if you're planning to live at home, and because there's still loads of opportunities to integrate. And those of you that live in halls get these extra opportunities as well, which is nice. Perfect. So thanks again, Hannah. I'm going to hand you now over to Guillermo. He has just graduated as well, actually, and he is from Spain, and he studied in Trinity for the last few years and then studied abroad as well as part of his experience. So he's lots of international activity, and he was one of our Global Room ambassadors. So he could probably tell you a little bit about the Global Room as well, which is a really great resource for students to get involved in kind of international activities if they're on campus. So I'll hand you over to him. Thanks, Guillermo.
Thank you so much, Nerla. So hello, hola a todos. So yeah, my name is Guillermo. I'm Spanish from the south, Alicante, and I studied BES, specialized in economics and politics from second year onwards. So I studied at a European school, and I studied everything through English. So I decided I had two Irish teachers for maths and English, and they made everything super easy for me to apply to Trinity through the CAO. So I did a European baccalaureate. So I just had to pick 6 subjects and submit through the CAO. So I sent everything off once I finished. Applied, I don't know, I think I applied to Trinity, only to Trinity, like 3-4 options in the courses. And well, I got my first choice, which was BES. And I couldn't be happier, because BES is such a nice program. So the first year you're going to study business, economics, sociology, and political sciences. And everything is like super introductory. So I didn't do economics back in school. So everything is from the basics, like, and the same for the maths level. That there was some question there, how difficult is math in Trinity. So everything is super well explained from the basis. And then it just builds up as you progress through the years. So first year, an amazing experience, just like what a lot of people just said. I was in halls, and that was super nice because there's a lot of internationals, but I know not only in halls, so overall in all of Trinity. So it doesn't matter if you're in halls or at home, you're going to meet so many international friends, and that's something Trinity really has to highlight. So after my first year, well, other than making loads of international friends, I became Trinity Hall, I became the international officer at the JCR, the Junior Common Room. So I got, this is a committee of 11 students that's based in Trinity Hall, and we organize events for the students there. So yeah, that was kind of like, it's a part-time job, but it's you don't get really paid for this, but well, it's everything goes on the CV. So that was a bonus indeed. And yeah, then well, in second year, I joined DUHAC, which is the Dublin University Harriers and Athletics Club, and I love running, but I've never been really professional or anything. And well, in DUHAC, thanks to the training I did with the club every week, I managed to join them in competing at the Irish InterVarsities at the end of first year. So I went down to Cork for 3 days, and this was very cool because I even got to meet Olympic Irish athletes. So that was very cool. Didn't really do very well in my race, but anyways, it was a very, very cool experience, and yeah, something I would never forget from Trinity. And well, moving on through the years, there I go, my second point, studying abroad in France. So third year, I went to Sciences Po Paris, located in the Reims campus. So I was 45 minutes train from Paris, and this was amazing. I can't highlight this enough. There was a previous webinar where we talked about international experience. So I invite you to have a look at some of the other webinars, and you can find more information on studying abroad. But yeah, this was very cool. I liked it so much that after graduating from Trinity, I applied and got a spot to study a master's in economics in Paris. So I'll be heading there over in October. So yeah, the international experience never finishes. And well, moving on, some others have talked about Trinity Ball. So again, and some students asked the question on parties. So to highlight, yes, Trinity has good social life, and Trinity Ball is just an amazing ball. It's the biggest private ball in Europe, and it's very cool. Unfortunately, well, due to the pandemic, we couldn't be celebrated this year, but I hope next year students can experience this ball. And yeah, I succeeded in my studies, receiving a 2-1 at the end of the 4 years. I'm very happy about this, and as well all my extracurricular activities and the Ireland experience. So coming from abroad, I think it's great not only to really discover Dublin, but to discover what Ireland really is. So I've traveled around Ireland and see what all these touristy parts from the south up to north, even Northern Ireland. So yeah, that was very cool. And well, top tips for Trinity, I'll say, just make the most of your time. In Trinity, as all the other students have said, do not hesitate to look for help when you need anything. So from, I don't know, feeling homesick to maybe, I don't know, try and improve in your studies, there's going to be so many different help systems for you. And this is something I would really, really highlight from Trinity. And yeah, I think this is basically it. So thank you very much. Perfect. And I'll hand you on now to Jessie.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Guillermo. So as he was saying, it was really nice to get kind of international student experience there and your insight into it. So last but by no means least, we're going to hand you over to Jessie now, who's going to talk to you about her.
Hey everyone, my name is Jessie. I am actually from the Turks and Caicos Islands, which is a pretty tiny country in the Caribbean, but my parents are Irish, which is why I decided to come to Dublin for college. I'm also actually back in Trinity for my second time around. I originally did my undergraduate in neuroscience, and I'm back now doing a master's in Irish writing. So definitely a bit of a jump. Not a lot of people change disciplines like that, but definitely get a test to the fact that I like Trinity if I came back. So yeah, I chose Trinity originally mostly just because my main reason was that it has quite a good international reputation. It's obviously well known for being #1 in Ireland, and because of where I came from, I thought that maybe I'd like to go on beyond Ireland for when I actually started my career, and so I liked the idea that people around the world would know about Trinity and what it was. I also liked the fact that it was bang smack in the middle of a big city, and also even just silly things like the campus is really beautiful, and that isn't really why you should choose a college, but it definitely helps me a little bit. So yeah, I started into general science. So with most of the science degrees, you specialize in your third year. So what I actually started into was general science, and this has changed up a little bit now because you would usually put down a stream. So biological and biomedical sciences would have been mine. But I actually love that because I wasn't really sure exactly where I wanted to go, and I love the idea that I could kind of craft my course based on lots of different modules. So I got to take a really wide range of stuff in my first 2 years. And I like the idea that I didn't have to decide exactly what I was going to be doing until the end of second year. And then I ended up specializing into neuroscience, which I also love as a course. It's really diverse. It focuses a lot on human biomedical science, but I get to do bits from kind of a lot of different specialties. So a lot of things like genetics and biochemistry and physiology, which are all also, if you would like, specialties in their own right, but I got to kind of incorporate all of that just in learning about the brain, which is really cool. So yeah, I also worked at the science gallery for a couple of years when I was in my undergrad. And this is just a really great way of complementing my degree. I got to learn a lot about science communication, which is obviously hugely important in science. Sorry, if you don't actually know what the science gallery is, it's a sort of science/art museum that's actually on the Trinity campus. And they hire a lot of Trinity students. You don't have to be a Trinity student to work there, but it definitely was handy for me that I got to just work and go to college in the same place. And that was a really great experience. I got to meet lots of really cool artists and work on lots of really cool shows. And then otherwise, my main extracurriculars were the Vincent de Paul Society, which Hannah actually already spoke about a little bit, and also Trinity Singers, which is a choir that I was in for most of the 4 years that I was in my undergrad. And these are pretty much where most of my college highlights came from. So with Vincent de Paul especially, did lots of really fun things. So I've written there that I performed in the VDP pantomime. And this is an event they put on every single year. They usually take a movie or something like that. We did Harry Potter my year, write their own pantomime and get all the kids from all the kids clubs and things like that involved in it. Often lots of the adults with intellectual disabilities get involved, and also student cast members. So just like all the rehearsals, like teaching kids how to do all these dances, and then the actual event were just amazing, and I made some of my best friends from it. That's definitely a huge college highlight for me. And then also some of the other things that I did with VDP, like the soup runs, things like that. I also did a lot of kids clubs, and I ended up running my own kids club then in final year. It was a music club, so we just went and basically sang songs with kids all day, which was really fun. And I also did the Camino a couple times with the Trinity VDP, which is, if people aren't sure, Camino de Santiago is a big hike you can do in Spain. And so we took a week over reading week. I signed up in second year, didn't know anyone. And by the end of the week, I had like 24 new best mates. So it's just really good fun. You meet lots of really new people, really cool new people, have lots of chats, hike, get some blisters. And I ended up actually getting into Trinity VDP from that. So I kind of met people there and was like, oh, this seems like a cool society, and kept going. And I actually liked it so much that I did it twice. I went the second in my third year, and I actually was the route leader that time. So I had to organize it, which was a lot harder than just walking it. So yeah, those are some of my main college highlights. Also, some of my highlights came from my time with singers. We took a trip to Budapest to perform, which was such good crack. We also went to Sligo a few times, which is a little bit less exotic, but still very fun. So yeah, I think a lot of my college highlights were definitely like society related. Another big one for me was when I was in second year, I was awarded Skulls. A few people have been asking about this in the Q&A. Foundation Scholarship is Trinity's probably most lucrative scholarship, just in that if you are awarded it, you get 5 years of free accommodation and tuition at the college, which was obviously amazing for me. It's, first of all, it's pretty good, big honor. It's very exciting, but also just means that I didn't have to then worry about fees or accommodation for years. And it's also probably why I'm back now doing a master's, because it's free for me. So it's just been hugely, hugely beneficial for me, and definitely a massive college highlight. And then just more general, living in a big city, it sounds silly, but I grew up on a tiny island in the Caribbean, and so living in Dublin, even if, I don't know, if this is not one of the biggest cities in the world, was just very exciting for me. I absolutely loved it. We were bang smack in the middle of the city, so you can kind of go to like any cafes, restaurants, bars, like music venues. They're all like right on your doorsteps. That was really exciting. And yeah, I think my top tips for college are probably a little bit related to my college highlights, in that I mentioned that I had done, Vincent de Paul and singers, but I also tried out a lot of other societies when I was in Trinity. So like I ran a radio show on Trinity FM for a while. I played football for a while. I joined the Literary Society and went to a bunch of literary events. And those were all really good fun as well, but also were just an amazing way to meet new people. So I definitely think that one of the things that I didn't really get into until sort of second year, third year-ish was trying out just all these different societies. And there's just so much of it available and so many cool people you can meet, and they're always super welcoming. Like I know that in second year I was like, oh, I'm a bit old, like maybe they don't want, old second years coming in, but everyone's really welcoming. So I definitely encourage people to just try out as many societies as possible. It's a great way of meeting people outside of just your own specific course. And then also to do with your course, choose one that you're really interested in, because I mean, we've all had the opportunity to skip lectures every now and then, and it's just so much easier to convince yourself to go and to convince yourself to study if you're actually interested in what you're learning about. So obviously I know a lot of people are very concerned about employment opportunities, and that's obviously a very real thing to be considering when you're picking a course. But I will say the degree from Trinity is a pretty good thing to have on your CV anyways, and if it's something that you're really interested in, you're much more better placed to get a good grade and to then, and actually enjoy what you're doing. So yeah, I think that's probably it for me. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A.
Great, thank you very much, Jessie. And just to kind of tag on to what Jessie was saying, I think that's a really important point, that it is really important. I know sometimes people are focused on jobs or points for courses or things like that, but I think one of the most important things is that you're doing something that you want to do and that you are either good at and you feel passionate about, and then you will do well in it. And doing well in a degree, regardless of what the degree is going to open up lots of opportunities for you. So thanks so much, Jessie, for that. What I'm going to do now is invite everybody back on. So if everyone could just turn on their videos and their sounds, and we'll just spend the last few minutes answering a few questions. I could see lots of questions popping in. So I think maybe lots of them have been answered already. But I'll bring Gubnet on too, who's been kind of going through all the questions, who might have a couple more questions for the panelists to finish off. Hi, Gubnet.
Hey, how's it going? Yes, it's been really, really busy with questions today. We've had lots of attendees at the webinar, so it's great to see so many people are coming. And I think a lot of your questions have been answered by the amazing presentations that the students have given us today, but I know they've been busy in the background as well answering the Q&As. We've had a lot of questions, obviously, that are very course specific. And I think the advice that I've given people in the answers, and some of the other students as well, is like that, you do need to read the prospectus, you do need to do the research on the course, as to what it offers, what are the subject requirements, what does the modules up through the years, year 1, year 2. Obviously, as you go through the 4-year degree in Trinity, it becomes more specific as regards to what you study, but that also offers you the choice, I suppose, to specialize in what has interested you. And I think maybe somebody like Jessie, who's done neuroscience in her 3rd and 4th year, would be able to speak to that. Yes, Jessie?
Sorry,
yeah.
I think there's 2 questions that say my name, so I might just jump on those.
Yeah.
One of them that you're talking about employment opportunities in neuroscience after the undergraduate degree. Absolutely. I know that I seem like a weird example because I'm now studying a degree in Irish writing, but that is not what most people do. And I actually also took a year off in the middle. So a lot of people want to go into research, and I actually did do that. I ended up, I had done some internships in my kind of summers that were more about human biology, human neuroscience, but I actually ended up doing an internship for pretty much all of last year in Panama at the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute, where I studied butterfly neuroscience. That is really niche and random, and I'm not saying that's what everyone's going to do. And also most people who do neuroscience are interested in human biomedicine. That was kind of a weird jump for me, but there absolutely are. You're qualified then to work as a research assistant, do lots of internships, things like that. I will say that if you would really like to go into research, for the most part, it's kind of expected that you go on and get a PhD, and that's how you become like a fully fledged researcher. There are lots of research assistant positions and things like that with just an undergrad, and you can work as like a lab tech in lots of places. Like you are very qualified to do jobs sort of within that field, but if you're really keen on doing research, then a PhD is kind of necessary. And there are also other job opportunities. Like I had friends who went into science communication. A lot of my friends from my course actually ended up doing graduate medicine because we did do so much human biomedicine, but that's obviously not necessary. But yeah, there's definitely, I would say, lots of employment opportunities. You don't have to come back and do a master's in English Lit at Trinity.
I think there are a lot of people who seem to be asking questions about job opportunities. because we're living in this pandemic world and everything else. And I think, I don't know about you guys, but I think I would, having been to college a long time ago, that a Trinity degree and, you know, a university degree, no matter where you get a degree from really, but obviously we'd like you to come to Trinity, it will put you in a good place to meet those challenges that the post-COVID world will. Would you guys, those of you who have graduated and are in postgraduate studies, or those of you who are going to graduate, would you agree with me?
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100%. And especially in Trinity, the career service that's there to help you find a career or find something to do after you graduate, it's really well established. So even if, no matter what you do in Trinity, there's a lot of doors open to you after you leave. So it's like, for example, I did my undergrad in languages and literature, and I want to go into politics, and that for a master's, sorry, I'm speaking German in my head. I've been around German kids all week. But yeah, so for a master's, to do my master's, I want to go into politics, and that door is open to me because the broad kind of base degree that I have from Trinity and the transferable skills that I learned, that every student in Trinity learns, really equips them to go into any field. So I know people who did like some art history and are now working in some of the big, like the big four in Dublin, Deloitte, EY and all that. So it's a real, you can jump kind of from any base into the world of work from Trinity, no matter what you study. And again, all of that is always supported by what you learn outside the classroom as well, because that really stands by you when you're trying to really leverage a degree that might not look like it fits into a certain criteria, but when it's backed up by a substantial experience in extracurriculars, that what makes it a lot more flexible. There was just another question there about studying languages with Bess, and I think that's one of the few questions about the electives. So from my understanding, you can do languages through the electives as well. So in second and third year, there'll be a chance to do languages. So you can pick, I think some languages you can pick up from scratch and some you can do from more advanced level. So I definitely look up the Trinity electives because there's some really cool ones there, and there's some new ones coming online from the likes of NCAD and stuff like that, which would be really, really interesting because they weren't available to us when we were there. But they're really exciting, and I'm jealous that you lot will get to try them out.
I would just add kind of one thing to what Shane said. So I did my degree quite a while ago as well. And I suppose a couple of years after I graduated was when the recession hit. So I was a civil engineer. They'd stopped building a lot of things. And in my class, everyone chose civil engineering because it was the middle of the Celtic Tiger and everybody was building things. There were loads and loads of jobs. So I decided, actually, because I had done the voluntary tuition program that Hannah had spoken about, and I actually still do it now as a staff member, that I decided to become a teacher. And I changed careers completely, and it was actually really helpful in terms of getting into teacher training, having that Trinity degree. So there is lots of flexibility to change your career throughout the years. And I suppose I used to work in the engineering school, and mechanical engineering became the most popular engineering degree for a while. And less people were doing civil engineering because they thought less building work was happening. But I think people need to remember as well that you'll be doing your degree for like 4 years or maybe 5 years if you're doing an integrated master's in things like engineering or computer science. And at that time, the economy can change quite a lot in 5 years. So I know when the civil engineering students were graduating in the last few years, they were really short of students because when they started their degree, people didn't think that they had that much demand. And then by the time they were graduating, they were in really high demand. So I think it's hard to predict what's going to happen with the economy several years down the line. So I think a more important thing to look at is what you really care about, and kind of getting a good degree in whatever subject you choose to do. And there'll be lots of flexibility, lots of conversion courses, things like that, if you decide you want to change to something else later. So I always recommend that people choose something they love and they care about, and you're much more likely to do well in it. And as Jessie said, you're much more likely to be motivated to get up in the morning and go to class and things like that, because it's not like school. You are a little bit more independent. You're expected to be responsible for things yourself. So I just wanted to add that in. But I'm sure lots of other people, lots of students have things to say that are much younger than me and more relevant.
I'm just conscious of time. I think we had a couple of questions about orientation and what that will look like. I mean, what will college life look for me? And I know we have covered this in one of our other webinar series. And I think all of the guys here today, you've all spoken so highly of the kind of life outside of lectures along with life in lectures. but I think there are extensive plans in place for orientation, both in person and virtually. Some people expressing concerns as to how they would meet people from their class and, you know, within societies, and that is that there are extensive plans in place for that to happen. There will be both virtual, online mixers, and if at all possible, obviously depending on government guidance, in persons, opportunities to meet your classmates, as well as that with the clubs and societies, that the same will exist as well. So just be assured that you won't be alone in your bedroom, wherever you are. There will be lots of opportunities to make friends. I think we're all as well getting used to chatting to our friends on these kind of Zoom and WhatsApp videos and everything else. So suffice to say, I suppose, that we do take that very, very seriously here at Trinity, and there are many plans in place for that for September. Orientation week going to be the 21st of September. And then we had another couple of questions about accommodation. So those of you who have applied for accommodation, what I have advised is that you do contact the accommodations office, because it will depend on your particular circumstances to whether or not you are waiting on a CAO offer or whether you're coming from an international capacity. So your best bet is to really contact the accommodation office with regard to your specific application, and they'll be able to advise as to how that is progressing. I think we had a lot of questions, Dervla. A lot of them are more specific to courses, but I think, bearing in mind time, do we want to maybe get a summary from everybody? And
yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone has kind of final words of advice, people are filling in their CAO. The deadline is 5 o'clock. any
Yes.
final advice and guidance you might want to give them, or even those that aren't applying right now, that might be relevant. So we might just go around. I'm not sure who we'll start with. Maybe we'll start with Courtney. I'm looking at who's on my screen, but it might be different for everybody else.
Yeah, so the advice I would give is just like, obviously make sure, you know, you're choosing subjects that you actually want to study, and just make sure to look at the requirements as well, so that, you know, you won't get a surprise on the day when you get your results. So yeah, that's my advice. Best of luck.
Thanks, Courtney. And maybe Lillian, do you have anything you want to add?
I think it's really important to choose what you want to do first, and put your personal preference at number one, and like, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Like, if you think that the other person's going to get it before you, like, still put what you want to do as number one.
Oh, thanks, Lillian. Shane, do you have any extra words of advice?
I think yeah, for CAO, before CAO deadline, try and drown out the voices that are telling you what to do, because you're the one who knows best what is best for you. So even when I got my results last week, my dad turned around to me and was like, "Oh, so you're going to be a teacher?" And I don't know how many times over the past 5 years I've told him I don't want to be a teacher, but he's still trying to get me to go down that route. But so yeah, make sure you study something that you're interested in, because it makes life just so much more enjoyable, to be honest. And try and put those voices that are saying do X, Y, and Z on mute, and kind of follow your heart, I suppose, to be a bit cringy about it. But yeah, best of luck. Buon tanto us.
Great, thanks, Shane. Hannah, do you have anything you want to add?
Just to kind of echo what everyone else is saying, I'd say follow your heart when you're making your decision, because you have to study the subject for the next 4 years, and you want to enjoy it, and you want to go to classes and want to engage in tutorials and stuff. So don't let other people influence your decision. Do what you want to do.
Great, thanks, Hannah. Guillermo, do you want to add anything on?
Well, from the international point of view, I just say, like, Trinity has been great since the very beginning. I've felt like very included, and yeah, nothing else more to say. Yeah, come to Trinity.
Great, thanks, Guillermo. Matthew, do you want to add anything? Matthew, and we'll get Jessie on then next.
Yeah, I suppose just what the others were saying. I would put your personal preference ahead of any economic worries. Go with your gut. Trinity is a good environment to flourish in. You know, it's not like school. You're being taught by people that are really experts in their field and passionate about it. If you're thinking of putting a course choice down that for leaving cert or A levels that you're struggling to find motivation for, it's probably a sign that you shouldn't. That would be my advice. But yeah, best of luck.
Thanks, Matthew. And then last but not least again, Jessie.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, as everyone's saying, choose what you think you'd like to do. But also, I was definitely very panicked. I think I mentioned I was very indecisive. But there are always kind of options for picking up other skills. Like I did neuroscience and now I'm doing English, and I'd taken an English elective when I was in third year, I think. And that really helped me find out that I really liked that. And I was able to use that essay. And I have friends who maybe studied something like, I don't know, something like science, but they got really involved with some of the entrepreneurial societies. So there are lots of other ways in Trinity for you to kind of pick up skills that you might have thought was closed off to you when you picked your course. So follow your gut. There are also often ways of kind of picking up skills in different fields. I don't think this is the be all end all for your life forever now, I would say.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jessie. And thanks everyone for being on today. You were all brilliant. It was really nice to hear all your different stories and all your different kind of paths and all the directions that you're going in. So it's really exciting. Can't wait to see what you all do next. But yeah, thank you so much for being there and for all of the advice. Hopefully that was helpful for all the people who are watching. We're going to do what we've done with the other week. So we're going to put this recording up on the CAO, on the Trinity CAO website. So tcd.ie/CAO. All our previous webinars are there as well. And if you have any further questions you want to ask students, do go on our UniBuddy platform. So again, if you just go to tcd.ie/CAO, and there is a chat button that pops up there, and you can click on that and you can talk to a few of the students that are here and a few other student ambassadors that we have. And we encourage you to do that because it's really nice to get a sense of what college is like, and maybe ask questions that you might want to ask in front of everybody, and that's totally fine, and we welcome you to do that. That's why they're there. So yeah, thank you again, everyone. We hope you have a great day. Best of luck with your decision making if you haven't done it already, and we hope to see lots of you in Trinity in September. So bye, and thank you, everybody.